Chuggalos, welcome back to episode 391 of the Brew Crew podcast, a solo episode today, coming to you adjacent to the Church Room Bar in the Man Cave. JT is off in New York City trying to find Nightmare Brewing and other fun breweries that maybe we haven't even heard of here on the Brew Crew podcast. Off the top, I need to tell everyone, because pumpkin beers are now live, Oktoberfest beers are now live, so the seasons are changing. So the season that's in front of or behind, depending on your perspective, is the Advent Calendar season, which again, November 6th at 11 a.m. at the Barrel House in downtown Dayton. We will be building the Advent Calendar, but if you want to reserve a calendar for this year, again, we're probably projecting anywhere from $200 to $250 for the calendar. People have asked about that before. All of them delectable beers. You can check out last year's because Gimmick Gus is going to be on it. He's already on it. We've already picked out 2 beers. We did that during our blowout episode, our midsummer episode at the Barrel House, which was great. But we have 10 on reserve right now. There will be 24 that are built. If you are interested in getting a calendar, please reach out to JT or myself and make sure that your name is on the list. Number 2, THC drinks, CBD drinks, whatever you feel, wherever your position is on them in the state of Ohio. Originally, that window had opened for 2 weeks. But now a federal injunction has been filed, and the 10 companies that were allowed to produce within the state of Ohio, Urban Artifact being one of them, now that injunction has been extended. So a lot of the businesses that were relying on that influx, because as craft beer sales have gone down, they've been replaced by seltzers and THC and CBD drinks. So that's an awesome opportunity for those 10 companies. There are a few companies that we know of, like 50 West, that aren't one of the named 10 plaintiffs on that suit against the state of Ohio. So they're not able to produce, but Urban Artifact, Swifty, a couple of others are still able to produce. So it's nice to see that influx and that choice, that beverage choice, be able to return to all of these smaller retailers that were really depending on that business. So that's awesome that is still going on. And that was, I just read a story from the 17th from the State House News Bureau. But number one beer, we're going to get right into the first beer. This is, I've got beef with Central Waters. I'm going to get this. So it's a Central Waters IPA, but I'm just going to rotate the can. So it's an IPA. If you would guess, I'm going to go slow. What's the name of this beer? So Central Waters, India Pale Ale. You can see it on the bottom middle there. You would look at the top of this. When I was doing the research for this, I thought, oh, it's obviously going to be Ale, Sun, Earth, and Sky. And when I was looking it up, it is not Ale, Sun. It is Shebamherst, right there on that water tower. And because I think that this beer is named, I'm going to reset the camera that way because it's a collab with Three Sheeps Brewing, also in Wisconsin. So we're going to go with the crack on this one. This is a 7.4% IPA from Central Waters, a brewery far known more for their darker beers, especially their stouts. 3, 2, 1, let it fly. So I'm excited because obviously it's an IPA, and Central Waters hasn't dipped their toe that much. Obviously, they've made IPAs before, but it's not what they're known for. And it's a West Coast IPA, too. So I bought this. Wow, that is... What unique. That's the Wakka. So the hops in this, it's that New Zealand hop build. But Nelson Sauvignon, so that's very dry. And Wakka from hops from New Zealand, which have been coming more and more prevalent that we've seen like in the last 2 years for sure. But in the last year, I'd say a lot of the West Coast hops builds that we've been seeing for have that Wakka. Nelson has been fairly persistent, fairly common. But that Riwaka, Riwaka, for those individuals that are hop nerds looking into that, it's not as citrusy as you would expect. Rather, it's more that rind, more that really bitter component to the IPA, which is good if that's what you're seeking. But that vibrancy that you typically get from an IPA isn't there. So, as I like to do when I do solo episodes, let's check out the website. So this is centralwaters.com, where to buy Amherst, again, central Wisconsin. And I was just talking about this because I was just hanging out digitally with Chuggalo Mikey. The fact that a lot of breweries in Wisconsin are pivoting to making bourbon also. And the fact that Central Waters is also doing that. Again, aged 8 years, which is lighter for a bourbon. Still drinkable, but 100 proof, so 50% ABV. And it harkens back to the... Sorry, Stacy. 8 years finished in our own backyard. Just straight and bottled at 100. So a little bit more robust than the typical, like a Jack Daniels or something, which I believe is 88, 86 proof. Smooth, sippable, which is crazy for a 50% ABV. Vanilla, oak, and warming spice. And how you make an old fashioned, which is blasphemous in Wisconsin to have a bourbon. I'm not saying that they're not unheard of, but most old fashions in Wisconsin, it's a brandy. And if you want a bourbon old fashioned, you're going to have to ask for it by name. And where it's from, I just like, again, 10-year rye. I'm a rye straight bourbon guy, so that's awesome. Again, excellent brewery. The number one brewery for my money in the state of Wisconsin. And again, we talk about sustainability, and this is where I wanted to go through and talk about. I love that, hey, we're in July. This is the website. This is what's going to be available, and this is what you're going to be able to find. It's awesome just to have that availability calendar like that available. And then their flagship brands, what's always available. You're seeing in a lot of restaurants the American Porter, that Mud Puppy Porter, and all of their Brewers Reserve and Barrel Age, what they're known for, and Tap Talks, sustainability, all of that. Great website. Again, I wish more breweries would do the calendar. Like, hey, what's available? What can I go find? And that's one outshout I will give to the state of Ohio. You can go to Ohio Liquor and find, like, hey, I'm really after this bourbon. You can find what store's carrying it, as opposed to going to 5 or 6 different stores in the search of whatever libation that you're after. So eventually, not in my lifetime, Blue Laws will be much more easier to discern instead of just doing it by municipality or by state. You know, like, do they sell on Sundays? What do they sell on Sundays? Where do they sell it on Sunday? Etc. All right, this beer. Man, it is not what I expected for being a West Coast IPA. The fruit notes aren't there. The hops are doing all the work, and you're not imparting any sort of like zest, way more the rind of like a lemon or a grapefruit. So like if you're in your mind's eye, if that's what you're after, you're like, I get some fruit characteristics for it, but it's not as like apparent and like hit yourself in the face with like a dozen a juice from a dozen lemons or limes or grapefruits or anything like that. It's much more bitter and acrid. I can't say that this one is my jam. It's a very highbrow IPA, and I don't think it's going to appeal to the masses. Rather, it's going to be for like the very discerning, old school, gimmickless IPA drinker, even though the Riwaka hops from New Zealand is a newcomer to the IPA genre. I bought this in a 6-pack. I might have to give a couple cans of this away to individuals that kind of taught me what I know about IPAs and be like, hey, what do you think of this? And sit there while they drink that. That's another conversation I've had recently is I give away a lot of beer and I'm like, hey, the only thing, no money, nothing like that. Just let me know what you think. Let me know what you think. And a lot of these people don't use Untapped. And I've noticed that there's been a lot of lashback against Untapped in the craft beer geek community. The reason being is I like it from the point of view, number one, tracking the beer. Like, hey, I've had this. Go after something else if I'm looking at a diverse menu. But two, looking at other people's commentary. So I'm much more using it as a personal tracker rather than searching it out. But I do appreciate businesses like King's Table and the Barrel House for keeping their tap list updated, or you can go to their website or follow them on the socials. But then that way, same as I just was talking about a couple of minutes ago, when you're talking about searching out beers, like, hey, I'm after this, do they have it? Now, I will say for me personally, and this is where I'm curious about you, the Chuggalo, I'm going to drink Friday. Are you going to a place first, or are you searching for a beer? I would guess for most people they're going to a place first, and then if they have the beer that they're after, that's what they're after. I'd say that's like a 90-10 situation. 90% of the time you're going to a destination and hoping that they have good beer, and 10% you might be like, man, I'm really after Dogfish Head 120 minute. Who has it live in the area? I think that'd be about 10% of the time. It's a convenience thing, and I know there's people out there that are the inverse relationship of that. I just think it's far more common to be destination-oriented rather than goal or specific beer-oriented. Thoughts below, please. Off the top rope, man, this is such a unique beer. It's beyond me. Not what I expected, but good. That I should have known with that Wakka hops, but there's nothing else paired with it. There's no other adjuncts or esters or anything. The hops are doing all the work. Off the top rope, 3.75. I don't foresee this taking over any of my staple IPAs that I claim to have as like my daily drinkers if I was after an IPA. The second beer, boy, so we're in that cellar clearing mood. For longtime Chuggalo listeners, you understand that my cellar is an unruly place, and I need to start pruning it almost like a bonsai tree. Not just getting rid of things, but carefully curating and taking things out so I can make space for new, better, more recent purchases. And you'll see why that's today. This is the Struise Brewers out of Belgium. This is Rio Reserva. Now, I will pause for a second, just looking at that bottle. It's a Belgian beer. What do you think that is, Chuggalos? This is a 11.2% Belgian quad. And this bottle, I'm going to have to refocus again, is a 2012. Bought in Eau Claire with my best friend, Chuggalo Mikey. This is a 2012 Belgian quad, 11.4%. Obviously, I'm going to need an opener, so I'm going to go to the Brew Crew podcast. In case I get lost, this came from Chuggalo Ryan from the Up North crew. We're trying to get them. Listeners, believe me, I know people want more Up North crew. I don't think they're going to be on a calendar this year. It's cost prohibitive. They're teachers, folks. They're teachers. So if somebody wants to sponsor the Up North crew, they will do videos. 3, 2, 1. I should just buy everyone's calendars. And then under the understanding of the guys, hey, I will buy your calendars. You have to make videos. I can't upload them. I would have to do like a drop situation. So, muted. Booze, butter, toffee on the nose. And I'm going to actually pour this one in a glass just so you can see. So 2012, so this is a 14-year-old beer. It's the second oldest one that I have in my cellar right now. Look at that. Look at that dark amber. See if it opened up a little bit. Very muted. I'm going to guess this Butte is past its prime. I don't remember buying this beer. I'm guessing I didn't buy it in 2012 because I wasn't in a craft journey at that time as aggressively as I am now. I've let it warm up a little bit. Ooh, that rolls nicely. Pairs. It's got a sweetness. Obviously, there's no head on it. That could just be the age. I'll even pour a little bit more. Yeah, even pouring a little bit aggressively doesn't do too much for it. A nice taster glass seems apropos for this beer. While we're doing that, let's go check out the website. This is a website I know we haven't done before. So I did already do this. I did already go to Struise, Struise.com. This is all translated because this is a Belgian brewery. So this is all translated into English. And enjoy and drink a nice beer brewery with tasting room and shop. Let's check out info about. Oh, I thought it would change. Let's see if I can change this to English. There we go. The concept built on foundation of creativity, innovation, and quality. And they started in 2001. So not old in the perspective of European brewing traditions. Is derived from the Flemish dialect for ostrich. Interesting. I could have never guessed that Struise was for ostrich. Our coat of arms reflects this heritage and majestic ostrich, which is hilarious when you think about a majestic ostrich, adorned with a knight's helmet, shield, and feathers. And then 2003, going commercial with a Belgian dark strong ale. Brewing path led us 2009 to a charming former school building in Oostervletten, where we have been brewing independently since 2012. So they started, but then quite a journey, then going independent, and then look at that barrel aging room. Why do you think you need a go-kart or in that room? I could see a forklift, but let's enjoy. And there's the Rio Reserva right in the middle there. I'll be darned. Tasting room continuously offers more than 25 beers on tap and is open to visitors every Saturday just for 4 hours. Only open for 1 day for public. Interesting. What a novel treat. And look at that. Very Eurocentric, that cream brick. Cream City, like Milwaukee is known as the Cream City. Very cool looking bar. Stella Artois sign. Very cool. All right. Website review. Nice. I like the ability that you can translate to English the website and actually discern some of the niceties of the website. This beer, it's rather ho-hum. It's interesting, like, being two, like, different beers in the perspective that they're both really dependent on quite unique foreign concepts, with the Wakka New Zealand hops, and then, like, this being in the Belgian or the Low Countries, the Benelux country brewing style. It doesn't do much for me, but I appreciate what it is. I definitely think it's past its prime. I don't see a Belgian quad at 11.2% lasting 14 years. Did I say 12 before? It's 2012, 2016 now. 14 years and being at its optimal consumption position. That beer off the top rope, I'm going to give that one. That one's a 3. I think I should be penalized as equally as much as this beer. That's why I really want, for beers that are either bottle conditioned or have an optimal range, adorn that. We put beer pairings on bottles, cans. Put like the optimal, you put the temperature range, like, hey, or like fresh hopped beer. Drink immediately. Drink chilled. Put like, should be drank within 1 to 3 years, or drank from inception to 3 years out. After that, it's going to fall off a cliff taste-wise. This is, it's not a drain pour, but it's definitely, I wish I had somebody to share this with, just from a conversation, be like, you dumbass, you should have had this 8 years ago or something like that. Something where I could learn and benefit multiple people at the same time. But that's it for episode 391. I feel like we covered a little bit. The calendars are the big one. If you want one, please reach out. Please, if nothing else, come to the calendar build on Friday, November 6th at 11 a.m. JT and I are going to be doing something special with food. Typically, we've covered the pizza for the bar. We're going to be doing something special. We're pairing with Dayton Street Snacks right behind. They're co-located with the Barrel House right in the back. We're going to do something not tabletop paella, like was potentially suggested. Rather, something super savory, unique, and delicious. But that's it for this week. Have a wonderful day. Cheers.